Welcome back to the Shop Mini RC, everybody. I'm Ken, and today we're going to be looking at a new FMS. Another one. Well, this is the Lemur? Lemur? Let's find out. All right, ladies and gents, we have the FCX24 Lemur. This is a new offering from FMS. And yeah, I love that there's more options coming and more stuff coming out. I've got a lot to say about this guy. It was spoiled a little early. Some images and whatnot were spoiled, and there's been a lot of conversation on this guy, and we'll get into that later. But right now, I just want to kind of talk about the features of this, what it's about, who it's for, things of that nature. And then we'll kind of dive deeper, compare it to like the FCX18 and some of the previous ones, just talking about different things. And then we'll give some criticisms. I do want to be transparent. This was sent out to me from FMS. So this is a sponsored or promotional whatever video. But I'm still going to give my honest opinion on it. Yeah, there's a lot of things I'm liking about it. I haven't dug all the way into it yet. Again, I'm seeing it for the first time just like you guys, so I'm off the cuff here. I haven't opened it up and ran it a bunch, and then I'm going to come back and give you a review. This is my first impression, just like you guys would get if you were to open it. So, first impressions on the look. It's a little boxy. I do like the buggy chassis look. I've been waiting for a company to come out with a tube chassis, box stock, ready to run, pseudo comp crawler thing, not just a regular hard body or Lexan body, but an actual tube chassis. And it looks like they finally did it. They beat some of the other people out there at getting us a tube chassis style. I've seen a lot of conversation out there about this guy, some positive, some negative, just on the looks, from the look standpoint. But I think in person, this definitely looks better than some of the shots do. I don't know. There's something about the way the photos looked in the spoiler photos that just kind of made it look kind of unappealing in some regard. Some of the stuff is really cool about it, but there's some things that just kind of stand out that kind of diminish the look a little bit. Again, I love that it's a tube chassis. I love that there's going to be some options here. I also think that this is more of an entry-level truck. It's more for somebody getting their first hobby grade mini crawler, or somebody looking to kind of use it as a parts bin. Basically, you're going to just totally kind of rip it apart and tear it down, and maybe replace some stuff, maybe do a lot of customization. So it's either for somebody who's brand new or somebody who knows exactly what they want to do with it. I think this has kind of got a niche look and design to it that is for a very specific crowd. So keep that in mind, guys. There's a lot of people out there that don't like tube buggy style chassis at all. So you're going to see a lot of hate from those kind of people. But for those that are into tube chassis, it's cool to have another tube chassis option. So right off the bat, some of the things that I saw people notice and that I'm noticing, there's a lot of Phillips head screws. That's kind of a Debbie Downer. I wish everything was hex screwed. Some of the body panel screws, like these guys here, obviously it's hard to get small flat hexes. Most flat type screws are going to be, or wafer screws are going to be Phillips. So that's just something you have to deal with. Most body panel screws on most smaller RCs, they're almost always Phillips head. Unless you want some big cap or button head screw, it just doesn't look good. Some of these chassis screws, these could have been, these much bigger screws, those very much could have been hex heads. So I wish they were 1.5 hex heads. So that kind of sucks. I do like this. this little battery tray. Very cool. It's just a clip-on. It just pressure fits, and your battery fits right in there, and it's a little bit oversized, so you can fit a larger battery if you'd like, which is an awesome benefit. If they would have just made it kind of tight to fit, that would have kind of been bad. I think people like to run bigger batteries sometimes, so it's nice that you've got a little bit of room in there. Also, it gives you the ability to move things around. If you wanted to move your ESC back here, we can see maybe you can get it to fit, maybe decase the ESC, throw it in the back, move your battery to the front, give you some forward weight bias. Seems all right. It's got our normal FCX24 axles on it, the portal axles that FCX platform is known for. Our skid here is a little different, because all the previous FCX24s are integrated into the chassis rails. You can see that here. Here's an old chassis. You can see that it's integrated into the chassis rails. So if you ever wanted to throw a different, chassis or a tube chassis or carbon fiber flat rails or anything like that, you would have to cut this up and do a lot of custom work. So now you've got the ability to just have a skid here. It looks like we should be able to just pop this all off, and we'll do that here in a little bit. Again, this is just an overview. What else do we got? We're using the dip switch list, dip switch list. Transmitter, I guess this is called the V3. It doesn't have any dip switches, but you can program all of your drive modes and your endpoints and stuff through there. Your light turns on with the press of the bind button. It turns your light on and off. So that's cool. Still have your switch for first and second gear, as well as neutral. You no longer have a channel 4, though, for the dip switch versions that have a channel 4. Again, this is more for entry level. I think the price on this is decent. I think it could have been, I feel like it could have been a little bit cheaper. It's $145.99 is the current price at release. The FCX18 LC80 is $180, but it's a kind of a totally different class of vehicle. It's very much a scale vehicle and kind of higher end. It's an extra, 40 bucks basically. So $40 cheaper, you can get this guy. The wheelbase is the same wheelbase as all the other FCX24s. Let me snag one. So we'll start in reverse order with the newest for the FCX24s. This is the K5. It's got a little bit larger wheels and tires on it because they're aftermarket, but you can see it's the same wheelbase, same length, same width. Basically, everything's the same from the shocks up, right? Well, shocks down, I guess, if you're looking at it like this. From the shocks down, everything's the same. Links, axles. We'll open these up and just verify that if they're plastic or metal. We'll open this up and verify that. We'll look at the transmission. Transmission is going to be plastic because the LC80 is plastic transmission, plastic diff. So I'm guaranteeing that that's the case there. We'll check on these and see if they're metal. They should be. It's got the same transmission, same shifting, servo, all that kind of stuff. We'll open it up and see if it's got the new mounting bracket that the LC80 has. But here we go. All right, so just kind of compared to the K5, compared to the Max Smasher. See the body. More looking at the bodies now. So it is a smaller chassis, which is nice because they call it the FCX24. I'd like it to be closer to the 24 scale. Again, I think they could achieve that much easier if they made straight axles using these axle housings, narrowed it in. That would definitely give you the ability to put smaller bodies on. And then power wagon. Okay. So some of the things I wish they would have done here that would have been easy and made it a little bit more upgradable and desirable by people that are in the mid-range, right? That aren't just going to completely tear it down or that aren't new. It'd be nice to have adjustability built in, maybe a couple shock mounting points here. They could have done a row of shock mounting or just a bar across here that gave you some additional shock mounts, as well as up here, at least 2 or 3 shock mounting positions so you could angle your shocks in. I really hate when ready-to-run companies can do stuff like that very easily. Like they could have easily given us a couple mounting positions and it makes it much more hobby grade. I feel like sometimes, and they're probably going to be insulted by this, I feel like sometimes the engineers feel like their answer is the best answer and it needs to be that way. And so they just design it that way with no thoughts that people might want to change things a little bit. Like I would love this guy to be lowered. And I think most people want this truck looking like this. I think almost everybody feels like the truck rides too high. Anybody that's in the groups, online, social media, stuff like that. They think that the truck sits too high. That's like the biggest complaint I've seen. Boxy, Phillips sits too high. That's it. If they were able to just give us shock mounting positions, we could have dropped it down ourselves very easily. And with the way this front up in here is, it's going to be very difficult to customize this and try to make it lower by moving the shock back. And same here. There's no mounting positions here without screwing straight into the box. So that's not necessarily ideal, but maybe we can figure something out. I'm all for modifying. I'll Dremel the heck out of this thing, and we'll make something work. I'd like to see what it would take to try to get this guy a little lower without shortening our shocks. I'd like to keep the flex and articulation. That amount of shock travel seems good. It would just be nice if it were a little lower. Doesn't have to be slammed, right? Just a little lower here, guys. Maybe they could have given us softer springs that would have dropped it down. I'm not sure. As far as the shocks are concerned, I don't know if these are oil fillable. They look like they don't come with O-rings, and I don't think they already have oil in them. We will open them up and verify, but they've definitely cut back on this guy a little bit when it comes to all of the features and whatnot. But again, I think this is supposed to be an entry level. This is the cheapest one of all the FCX24s, so I think that's where they're at with it. Our wheels and tires are 1.2s. They've been doing a lot of 1.2s on these just to help clear the portals. I feel like this might have looked better with 1.0s and some more balloony tires. Would have made it maybe look a little bit more appropriate. I think the 1.2s just kind of look a little too large for this type of buggy chassis, especially sitting as high as it is. Let's go ahead and dive into it, I guess, guys. I'm going to go ahead and take it apart. So here's our wheel and tire pulled off. You can see it's an actual beadlock, so that's good. I'm not sure if there's foams in there, so we're going to have to open this guy up real quick. Now the tires on this guy, they seem okay. They seem to have some decent grip. They're BF Goodrich licensed, so that's cool. Mud Terrain TAs. So it's cool that they're licensed. I wish they were just a little softer. They feel a little bit stiff, but that could partly be due to the tight lug pattern. It's not a very spaced out lug, and so that's going to make it a little bit more stiff. But the sidewalls, they seem a little soft here, but then again, as you get to the lug, they're a little stiff, which probably isn't the worst. Generally, I'd like it the reverse, though, where you're kind of stiffer on the inside of the tire, and as you move out, it becomes more soft, so you have better conformability. Pull out our ring. No, I don't think there's any foams in here. Nope, no foams at all, guys. So, again, fairly stiff tires. They're definitely not soft and squishy. Let's get this guy back together. All right, we're going to go ahead and open our portal. Got all 4 of our portal screws unscrewed. And there we go. Looks like this guy is running on bushings. So that means you're going to be able to run it through the water without having to worry about it getting rusted out in the bushings, because bearings will rust. But it is all metal gears in the portals, so that's good. You don't have to worry about stripping the portals out. Go ahead and get this guy back together. So I'm just going to go ahead and save you guys time. I already know that there's plastic gears in here. There's plastic gears in the transmission, and it's bushings throughout the entire thing. There's no bearings anywhere on this guy. Again, it's a budget. It's a more of a budget, ready to run entry level. The shocks, we're going to go ahead and open these guys up. I'm 99% sure they are not oil filled, but we'll open them up and just show you what's in there anyway. Oh, they are oil filled. I take it back. I guess that makes sense. It was fairly smooth. I didn't even think about looking at it like that. Let's see, is there a... No. Just thought I'd check to see if there was a bladder in there. Don't want to lose all the oil that is in there. I wonder if it's just the... Oh, this is not even a screw on. Interesting. So this shock housing cap is just kind of a pop-on cap. It's not a screw on. And then it looks like we might have 1 or 2 O-rings in there. I was hoping they'd slide out with the shaft. We'll go ahead and pull it out. There's our shaft. Oh yeah, there's definitely an O-ring in there. 1, 2. Looks like they're just doing 2 O-rings on the end of the shaft, no bushing or spacer. So hopefully they won't leak. Again, these are just entry-level shocks. They're plastic housings. Definitely want to push our O-rings in before we tuck them into there. Otherwise it'll damage the O-rings. Okay. We lost a little oil, so we'll just go ahead and put some back in. Most of these little guys just end up using some 20 weight, 200 CST. So that's what we'll throw in there. We overfilled it a little bit. It's okay. All right. So that's nice. Oil-filled shocks is definitely good. It helps reduce that bounciness. It doesn't take much. At least they come oil-filled from the factory. Again, I wouldn't say these are the top-of-the-line best shocks in the world. Obviously, they're just all plastic, 2 basic O-rings. They'll probably leak a little bit after a lot of use, but that's to be expected. It's a ready to run. It's under 150 bucks. So I guess now we'll get into the part that interests me the most, which is this transmission mount or skid and how everything in there is set up. So we're going to go ahead and try to see if we can get this guy to come apart. Hopefully we don't have to take out 1,000,000 screws, but we'll find out. There we go. Looks like it does just drop out the 4 link screws and then 2 side screws. Obviously, we're going to have to pull off our shocks, but let's get this guy all the way apart here, and you can take a look. Bam. So it looks like our ESC is tucked up in here. I wonder if it looks like it's double-sided taped. So let's see if we can pop this guy out. Maybe? Oh man, looks like they have the servo wire going up and over the chassis right here versus just coming out underneath here. Let's see if we can just get this guy out. I don't want to have to pull the panels off. Yeah, it's just double-sided taped in there. This ESC does seem smaller than previous ESCs. All right, let's go ahead and unplug that guy. There's our switch. Or lights. That's our lights. There's our shift servo. And our motor. The switch doesn't unplug. It is kind of perma-mounted. Let's see if we can get this guy out of here. There we go. Not so bad, not so bad. Uses the FMS R3A. Definitely a smaller ESC. I would have loved to have had the ESC in the back and then the hood openable, and you can put the battery right here. Maybe we'll swap it. Maybe we'll see if we can just swap this in some way. That's super. Well, then I guess our problem is we'll need an extension for our servos. But still. Although, yeah, the ESC is small and super lightweight. Definitely would be cool to be able to tuck this guy in the back and run our battery right up front here. Yeah, they could have easily made that a battery tray. And make this hood hinged. Damn. All right, hold on. Let's look. Having forward bias is almost always a good thing, especially since on here the motor is facing to the rear. It's going to put more weight towards the rear. So having the battery up front would kind of be ideal. They could have easily made this a hinged setup, kind of like the UTB18, the Capra. It's got a good hood setup to be able to put your battery right up front. And it's not like you're running your battery at a lower center of gravity back here. So there's no reason you shouldn't be able to just have thrown the battery up in the front here. Man, that would have been so much better. Yeah, with just like a easy flip up hood. Simple. Damn. I feel like they missed the boat on that. I wish that they had like kind of a focus group with these things, with their releases. And I understand they're trying to rapidly release things and get new stuff out, but having a focus group with a prototype design and letting people that are into the space, I'm not even saying me, but just people that really use these things and modify these things and that know what they're doing as far as how they would want to set them up if they were going to build a true comp rig, just to be able to give some feedback. And I understand there's limitations in manufacturing and things like that, but in the early prototype phase, just get some feedback on some of this. Putting the battery up here should have been very easy. Giving us multiple shock mounting positions should have been very easy. And those things like that are huge selling points, especially when you get to reviewers and the true hobbyists. Now, if their market is just the kid wants one for Christmas, get him this, and they're never going to modify it, okay, fine, if that's their goal here. But even then, adding additional mounting points gets those kids to say, well, I can move my shocks, I should do that. Gets the kids to pick up a screwdriver and make adjustments. You know, things like that are very important to me, to be able to show beginners that, you know, things are modifiable. And when you design stuff like this, where these shocks aren't mounted like this, it's very difficult to modify it in any way. And so that's unfortunate. Trying to think about what could be done. Yeah, they could have just, they could have widened this up just a tiny bit or lessened the amount that these shock mounts needed. And even if they were to still, you could still put multiple shock mounting positions, or you could have mounted it this way. Move this up just a little bit. Your servo's not even close to where that is. Let's get this guy in here real quick. I want to see. Boom. Boom. Oh, it is a little bit closer than I thought. But even then, you could have definitely found a way to get the servo to, or the battery to mount in here this way. It wouldn't have taken much at all. I can still do it. It actually sits right up against the servo here, the shift servo. So you can actually just kind of drop it in there. Seems fine. And then if you just had the hood able to quick release and have these on like a little bit of a hinge, that would have been it. That would have been the bee's knees. I wish this bumper didn't stick out so far. You have plenty of room between the servo and the bumper. This bumper could have been much lower profile. It looks kind of toy-like and just Walmart toy. with that bumper sticking out like that. Anyway, this skid, that was the whole reason we did this. Let's get in here. This skid. It is nice that we have this all as standalone though. So that is a huge bonus, which makes me feel like this is something that if you don't like the body, but you want this, here it is. Boom. This is the cheapest way to get this, right? And then some basic electronics. So I was just curious how wide this skid is. And this is a TRX4M Mias Ripper chassis. Mind you, this is the aluminum. This is a prototype. I shouldn't even be really doing this with this because this should be sitting in a case. But I don't have a plastic one, so I couldn't show, but it is very close. Look at that. You could probably do some minor modifications to the plastic cage and just drop this guy right in to the plastic Mias Ripper chassis with the 2-speed. We might end up just doing that because I have an extra Ripper chassis in plastic. It's just not put together, so I couldn't check the width here. But this width is near perfect, and with the plastic, you'll be able to, you know, Dremel it down, or even just, it might just fit, might just tuck in there, no problem. So maybe we'll do that in a future video just to show you how easy it is to upgrade to a chassis like this. The plastic one is $35 on Amazon, so that might be worth just taking this guy and dropping it in, which is pretty slick. The servos on these guys are decent. The only thing that I feel like might be an upgrade point out of this, you know, other than wheels and tires, is the electronics. You may end up wanting to do a little bit different electronics. But yeah, I dig that the skid is separate at this point. Very nice. I think the FCX18, let me grab that. And yep, it looks like the FCX18 skid is exactly the same. These rail parts just tuck into the C channel here. So that's cool that this comes with the newest updated skid setup. Because if you check out my video on this, which is right over here, we completely tear this thing apart, and this truck is just absolutely amazing. So definitely check out the FCX18 if you're looking for a little bit higher end, scaled out, upgraded version. Definitely a good rig. As far as this guy's concerned though, I like this. This is what I like. And then the wheels and tires, we can swap those out. But the fact that I can just pop this out and we can have some different chassis to throw it in, and it's a cheaper option than the other hard bodies, where you're wasting the bodies anyway. So I kind of think that that might be the selling point. Like I said, the guys that are going to totally rip everything apart and build it up using these parts here, or the new guy who is, you know, it's a younger kid or just newer hobbyist who kind of wants their first little mini crawler. This could be a good experience for them, I think. Just wish we had mounting points so they could kind of get their hands in there and adjust things. Just little stuff like that. Beyond that, I'm digging it. You know, even different spring rates, so they could put softer springs in if they wanted to. So they could just, again, it's about getting a screwdriver in their hand and being able to pop the shocks off, throw new springs on, put them back in, and now they've gotten their hands dirty and they've gotten the bug to upgrade. And that's what keeps people in this hobby, is getting that bug to just upgrade everything, right? That's what gets us all. So when you have little things like adjustability, that kind of sparks that interest in a new person. Anyway, I'm ranting here. Sorry, guys. I am liking this thing. This is not a poo-poo review where I'm pooping all over this guy. I think the cage, I dig the cage look, honestly. I think a lot of people don't like this cage, but I do. I just don't like this front bumper. I'll probably just pull it off, honestly. And then I wish that we had different shock mounting positions. That's it. Other than that, I think the cage is cool. I wish we could sit a little lower. Shorter shocks could do that. Pulling the springs out could do that. There's a lot of ways to modify it. But yeah. Alrighty, we got her all back together. Left the top off so you can kind of see how the ESC fits in there. Just fine and dandy. We did take our bumper off here because this bumper is it's just too much. Like, that's just too much, guys. Too much. So I pulled it off. I might end up just chopping these off, these little tabs, and then like mounting it like this straight up to the grill. Just put little holes through here. Zzz, zzz, and put some screws in and just mount it straight like that, or up a little bit, or I don't know, kind of like this angled forward look. Just got to figure out a way to mount it. I don't know yet. Either way, let's get this hood back on and then we'll drive it. Now, for the manufacturers out there, or anybody who doesn't really understand why people don't like Phillips, it's because they are a pain to work with. Like, you got to make, it's hard to get things to screw in sometimes. If your screwdriver's too flat, it doesn't work. If your screwdriver's too pointy, it doesn't work. You need a different screwdriver, and I'll screw it all. I'm just going to use this flathead here. Actually, that one won't even work either. This is why we hate Phillips, though. Like, maybe this one will work. No, this one's probably too big. Whereas with hex heads, it's 1.5 millimeter, and it just works. And the screw usually stays on the hex head. There we go. This one's kind of working. And it just makes it easier to put it back together. Whereas here, even when they're magnetized, they don't stay on very well, or it wants to flip-flop around when you're trying to find the hole. And they're such a pain to work with sometimes. So that's why people don't like Phillips heads. Now, to be fair, on this truck, all the Phillips are in the body panels and in the actual tube chassis itself. None of it is in the chassis, or in the, I don't know what you'd call it, but the links and the skid and all that, because this is kind of all the chassis, I guess, but it's only in the tube chassis and in the panels. Everything else is hex. I mean, even the servo horn screw is a hex. So anyway, Phillips heads, bleh, not the best. But I get when they use them in the panels and they're the really tiny ones, but this kind of stuff, man, I just wish they were just hex heads. All right, we're back together. Let's get our battery in and we'll get going. This does go in a certain way. There's a ledge, right? Like a tab, and then like a kind of a thinner release tab. So the tab side goes in, and then this part clips under. So it does go a specific way. If you're having trouble putting it in, turn it around, do it again. Should be good. Another thing about the reason this guy looks like it sits so high, it's on portals, guys. If this was on straight axles, it would look pretty much like this, not under compression, right? So, but because it's on portals, it looks like it sits pretty high. Again, your portals probably take up about that much space. So straight axles would be about here, and you would still have the travel and articulation. Again, FMS needs to make some straight axles, please. Same exact axles as these, just make them straight axles. I guess part of the problem might be gearing, and maybe they won't have enough torque, because a lot of this is the gearing into the portals gives you a lot of torque. So maybe that's why they're not doing it, but just change some gearing in the transmission. Use a different transmission with even lower gearing, maybe. I don't know. Smaller pinion on the motor. I don't know. Something. This guy out of the box comes with forward, brake, reverse. So to change that, what you're going to do is you're going to double click reverse, and that's going to put you into kind of your programming mode, I guess. And then you can forward, brake, reverse, or hit bind, and you'll have forward, reverse. Let's try again. Forward, reverse. Try again. Forward, reverse. There we go. So it looks like it took 3 clicks. Try again, see what happens. Brake, reverse, click, brake, reverse, brake, reverse. I don't know why it takes 3 clicks to get there, but now you're good. Forward, reverse. Okay, so just hit bind until you get forward, reverse. Also, while you're in this mode, your steering minus will put you at 0% drag brake, 50% drag brake, 75% drag brake, and then your throttle plus will put you at 100% drag brake. So let's see, 0% drag brake, 100% drag brake. Okay, so that does work. Yep. So that's how you set drag brake, and then you can just click reverse again to get out. Double click it to get out. Just kidding. Just cycle your remote. Awesome. All right. Make sure our bind is still turning on our light and turning off our light. Yep, we're good. And remember, when you're in second gear or high gear, your drag brakes can be even less effective. So actually we want to, let's do 100% drag brake there. Well, yeah. It's Still got some drag brake, but not nearly as effective as when it's in low gear. When it's in low gear, it pretty much is like stopped. You got to push pretty hard. Don't forget to do the simple mod of taking your screws out of the front C-hubs and moving them to the back. It'll give you a lot more turn radius. And the CVDs, nobody's ever had issues that I know of breaking CVDs because of that extra turn radius. So I would definitely do this. It's pretty much a free mod that every FCX truck that runs these axles should pretty much have done. There's really no downside to doing it. And you can see we removed this one, put it on the back. This one's still there, so I'll show you the difference. So there's your stock turn radius. You can see the knuckle hitting on it. Okay. And then here's after. Huge difference. Okay. That's why we do it. Pretty awesome free upgrade. Look how close it gets to the chassis, right? So that's that. That's that. Huge difference. Moving on, let's go run it. And there we have it, everybody, the FCX24 Lemur, the newest offering from FMS. I just want to give a little bit of info on why they called it the Lemur. The Lemur, if you don't know what a Lemur is, it's one of these little guys. So just some quick, interesting facts about lemurs. The only place that they live is on Madagascar. That's where they naturally live. There's also over 100 different species of lemurs, and lemurs are the only primates, like humans, to have blue eyes. They're also the rainforest's biggest purveyor of growth. They spread the seeds of all the different plants around the rainforest, so they're one of the biggest contributors to growth of rainforest from the animal kingdom. They also self-medicate, and they'll eat caterpillars that will basically get them high, or millipedes, not caterpillars, sorry, millipedes that they can get high off of. They also will sing in a cappella, and then also communicate with stink sometimes. So that's interesting. They're also the world's oldest primate. So they're around 70 million years old. They're basically the first primate. They were around when the dinosaurs were around, which is wild. And last but not least, kind of the reason they named this the lemur is they are the world's most endangered species right now. So they're trying to raise awareness about lemurs and try to get some support there just by naming it that. You know, I don't know if any amount of contribution is being made on the sales of these guys, but that would be kind of cool to maybe do at some point. There's like a lemur celebration around the world that happens. Maybe during that celebration, they should, any purchases made, you know, donate some money to a cause to help save the lemurs. If you made it this far in the video, guys, why don't you put save the lemurs down in the comments below so I know you made it all the way. All right, let's talk about this, wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed the running video. Pretty awesome. This little guy is super fun. I think it just needs to get a little lower, and maybe we'll do that with just stretching it out just a little bit. You can see we actually stretched our portals here. We rotated them. I'll probably do a little video showing some of the mods we did, some of the must-do mods. We moved our light to the front, kind of got rid of that light up top. It definitely looks a little bit less Walmart toy-like. Removed our front bumper. I think that really kind of helps clean up the look, right? And if we can get a little bit lower or a little bit more stretched, be pretty good. We're going to throw these OGRC 1.2s on there. That should be pretty slick. But overall, guys, definitely if you're looking for a tube caged type chassis, this thing's pretty cool. I think it's worth it. I think it just with some minor modifications, some stretching, some lowering, it's going to be pretty sick. I mean, it performs like an FCX24, a little bit lighter on the top, so it's a little bit better in performance. Although these tires are a little stiff, but I think maybe they'll break in over time, and then they'll definitely handle a lot better. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think in the comments below about this guy. Thanks a ton for watching. I appreciate all the subscribers. Make sure you subscribe if you like the content. We're always putting out new content. Make sure you check out our LC80 video. We talked about that earlier. And yeah, I appreciate all the support. We also have channel memberships and swag. So if you want to help support the channel, that's what helps us get the upgrade parts and things to show you on these guys. Definitely check out our swag. We don't really make a lot of money on the swag, maybe like $1 a shirt. But it helps support the channel in growth and shows people out there, and I just like seeing everybody out there. We also do contests every once in a while, not contests, but giveaways. And being a channel member or having swag, like pictures with swag, stickers on your truck, stuff like that, which you get through being a channel member, definitely will help you in those giveaways because they get extra entries. Anyway, guys, get out there and build something awesome. Build a car, build a course, build a community, and then smash it, crash it, and bash it, but don't break the expensive parts.